Hello, team, and welcome to another weekly sales meeting. I hope everybody's having a great start to the week. We're looking forward to a very, very big week here. And as we head into the end of the month and into August, we're looking forward to making the transition to what is normally a lull month in the month of July, where people are taking vacations and taking time off, and heading into August focused on winning and dominating the second half of the year. So I'm going to get started, and we're going to talk a little bit about the overall mindset that I see out in the marketplace. And this is really, this is an important one, is like, of course, we all compete. Of course, we do what we need to do to win. But there's a difference in competing on a daily basis when it comes to transactions. So like the way I look at it is losers compete, winners win. And what that means is that if you're competing for transactions, you haven't won the relationship, okay? Anytime you're competing for transactions, you haven't done what you need to do with that real estate agent for them to give that consumer one card. You haven't done what you need to do to make sure that regardless of where that person came from or how they got in touch with another lender, your realtor is advocating for them to work with you. And this is what a winner's market is all about. This is what we do here, okay? You see Dan Lorenko post on social and Lisa Shaw talk about it a lot. They have partners that they've built relationships with over years. The home buyers that are coming from those partners aren't shopping around. They're not getting referred to different places. They're not competing. Now, are they competing from a client experience perspective? Are they competing to make sure they're doing what's in the best interest of that client? Of course, that's what we do. But at the end of the day, it's a different focus on, hey, I'm trying to compete to win this deal versus I've put in the work, I've done what I need to do, I've added value. So when we think about that, it really comes down to our approach to the relationship. It comes down, are we going about it and only focusing on, talking about how fast we are, talking about how low our rates are, talking about the things that are more transactional? Because when you think about those things, yes, service matters to the customer. Yes, a predictable client experience, low rates matter to the customer. But at the end of the day, from a realtor perspective, when it comes to adding value, how are you adding value to them? How are you helping them in their business? And this is the differentiator. Right now, it's to me, it's very, very clear that real estate agents, our partners, need support. They don't, the way the real estate industry works is and how the splits work is the companies don't really offer a lot of support to real estate agents. They're sort of on their own. They might be part of a team, but even that, they don't have a lot of support. So they're fending for themselves. And at the end of the day, that's the value proposition we can bring in. We can bring in structure. We can bring in mindset. We can bring in accountability. We can be in a position where we're talking about how we're going out and winning business, how we're hosting events. When we talk about our Weekend Warrior campaigns, I was just having this conversation with Nicole Perano, who went out this past weekend, hit 18, 19 homes over the course of the weekend. And it's all about making sure that we understand, if we're going into a real estate agent and saying, hey, here's my card, send me deals, that's not a winning play, okay? That's what everybody else does, and that's not going to result in any value add. Now, if you're in a situation where you're talking about winning, when you're talking about the mindset in which you're approaching the market, where you're not looking at boo-hoo the market, you're looking at, hey, listen, I'm hosting events, I'm helping my clients understand the market conditions, understand they're going to be able to refinance in the future. You're helping prepare your real estate agents to be able to have those conversations with consumers and overcome those buyer objections. Like, that's a value add, and that's what we're focused on. So losers compete, winners win the relationship. Relationships, not transactions. So I'm going to talk a little bit here and talk about, why do we do this? And this is an important one. And it's really, really my focus as a whole is, we get tied up in transactions. We get tied up in the marketing efforts. We get tied up in a lot of these different things. But at the end of the day, the focus for me always comes back to, why are we doing this? What is the end all be all for us? And it all comes down to homeownership. That's why we got started. That's what, lit our fire from the get-go. And we think about how serving consumers, serving people during this process is helping them achieve the American dream. But not only that, what's the impact we're making on our community? Every single home sold results in $50,000 in economic impact to our local communities. We're talking about jobs that are being spent on, home improvement that's happening, movers that are moving, people into the homes. We're talking about property taxes. Like, all of these things have a trickle-down effect. And we need to keep the perspective that while we're focused on closing deals, while we're focused on, making money, we have to keep the perspective that we're serving homeowners, home buyers, the American dream. And that's the most important thing that we need to stay consistent on. I share this message with our operations leaders. It's important that from an operational perspective, we're not getting, caught up in SLAs and getting caught up in the transactional, stress of moving the loan through the process. And remembering there's a human here, there's people here, they're focused on achieving the American dream. So to me, call to action here is keeping that perspective, making sure we're staying client experience focused, making sure we're educating, and more than anything, as we're going out in our communities and as we're talking to our partners, we're keeping that perspective on their mind. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, it's a tough market, but the only way to attract buyers, to educate consumers, is to be focused on that audience. So last thing here I want to talk about before we transition is really being in a position, from a burn the boats, and this is this is my mindset coming into the month of August. Is I over the last couple of weeks, I've had Tyler and Kyle and all the people here that I have close relationships with, really on me. Matt Gauger, hey Anthony, you got to get healthy. You look like shit, very transparently. You eat like shit. You don't work out and you don't sleep. I've said to myself for a year, it's like, I got to do something. At a certain point, you got to rip the Band-Aid off. But you don't want to. I'm already in here early. Who's got time for it? You're already busy doing everything you do. Have to burn the boats. You have to go through the process. You have to overcome the objections. Same thing for all of us in our business. There's activities that we're not doing. There's things that we look at that we know we need to do. We've heard the Jay Bunties talk about how they're winning. We've heard the different people in the daily sales huddle come forward with these ideas and these practices that are helping them win, but we're not adopting them. We're not implementing them in our businesses. And that's the separator right now. Is it's time for a big change, guys. It's time to burn the boats. And now's the time. This is a winner's market. These next 6 to 12 months are going to be the best time in the mortgage industry if you're willing to do what it takes to get in front of more agents, to get in front of more buyers, and to lead by example. Be more active. And that's not just marketing, social media. It's great. You got to do it. It's important. But believe me when I tell you, I talk to top LOs every single day that don't do any social media activity. Now, I don't suggest that. But the thing is, you got to be in front of people. It's all about the belly-to-belly game. It's all about the activities game. Appointments are everything. Events are everything. Trainings are everything. That's what we need to be doing. So it's time to rip the Band-Aid off. Whatever that thing is that you need to do, it's time to burn the boats. Hey, I don't feel it. I know I need to go to, to open houses. I know I need to be making my outreach calls every single day. I know I need to, dial in my process so my LOA is handling my loans and I'm not as involved. Or I know I need to build a better relationship with my operations team members so, we can set great expectations and I'm not, monitoring my pipeline every day. Like whatever those things are, we got to do. It's all on us to do. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. I'm burning the boats. You have to do the same. It's time to win in this market. It's time to take it to another level and get that extra deal. I'm going to hand it off and I'll be back shortly.
What's going on, team? Mike Alberico, branch manager in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was invited on today to talk about my recent trip to Washington, D.C. that was with the AIM Group, the Association of Independent Mortgage Experts. And briefly, to cover why we went up there is, historically, brokers have not had a seat at the table when it came to legislation, all the way back to the Dodd-Frank Act, which I wasn't in mortgage at the time. I'm in my 10th year, but back following 2008, brokers were not in any of the conversations when it came to the new regulations to fix the mortgage industry after the housing crisis. Laws were written in favor of the banks. They had the big lobbyists. We weren't even considered an option. At one point, we were very high in percentage of loans originated. After 2008, brokers were only a couple of, like 2 or 3% of loans originated. Now we are up to 25% market share and continuing to grow. So it's more important than ever that we have a seat at the table. And that's what AIM is doing. We have a political action committee, and we also have a broker advocacy group. So I highly encourage everybody to join AIM. There's paid memberships, there's free memberships, but also join the Broker Advocacy Coalition because that's how we get things done. And the main purpose of this trip was to bring 2 bills to Congress's attention. One has bipartisan support, and it is a trigger lead bill that I know we all desperately want. It does have a carve out for existing relationships. So essentially, this bill would ban the sale of trigger leads to third parties. The only people that can get access to trigger leads are if you have an existing relationship with them, like you've done a loan in the past, or you're a current servicer. So if UWM servicing a loan and that credit gets pulled, UWM can be notified and they can notify the broker. But it does prevent the sale of people's information to random parties. We've all seen what happens. There's 40, 50 calls in a few days, and it just gets a little out of hand. The second bill, which needs a lot of help from bipartisan support, is called the Helpers Act, and it is a FHA addition to the existing program that would essentially create a VA type loan for first responders and teachers. It would be 0% down. It would have a 3.6% funding fee or upfront MIP because it's FHA, and no monthly mortgage insurance. And then one thing that we did also cover there was the individual VA property tax exemptions that we're working on at state level. It's already through in 3 states, and legislation is going through in multiple states, including North Carolina, where I'm at, where it's in front of the Senate Rules Committee. So we just wanted to show how much of an advocate we are, not just to the mortgage industry, but to the consumers. We go in there and nothing that we present is going to help our bottom line or top line. It is solely making a level playing field for brokers, which in turn benefits the consumer. The other thing that we did, and Todd Bitter, should have mentioned that earlier, was there. We met with different committees. I got to personally meet with a group of other people that went and talked to people on the VA committee. So what our goal was to show how we're educating veterans to better utilize their benefit. We have data to back up how much money veterans save by using an independent mortgage broker as opposed to a retail LO. We asked them to simply be a resource. When there's policy changes, if you have any questions about what's going on in the local community, we are boots on the ground. Just getting us that recognition, and like I've said it a few times, having a seat at the table is huge for our industry. So to wrap up, to cover how you guys can help, please reach out to me directly or Todd or anybody else at UMortgage that is an AIM member. We can show you how to get your free membership registered. If you want to do a small paid membership, that money goes a long way in supporting what we do. Other thing is, like I said, the Broker Action Advocacy Coalition, there's ways that you can support these bills. When you sign up, you literally put in your address and it'll send a canned email to the representative in your district. So that goes a long way. When they start hearing from their constituents, that's when action takes place. Like I said, reach out to me if you have any questions. I could talk about this all day. It was my second time in DC, had an amazing time, and I will continue to fight for our channel going forward. Thanks, guys.
Hey, this is Courtney Douglas with the South Florida market, coming to you guys with a topic as far as attacking listing agents. Right now in our marketplace, as we know, things are very, very, very hard as far as the current transactions, keeping them in place, as well as following through with building new relationships and getting new transactions while you're in a current transaction. Something that's been helping me these last couple of months and last couple of weeks is attacking my current transactions, right? Stop being afraid of listing agents. Stop being afraid to pick up the phone and call them and text them and reach out to them to let them know, hey, I'm the one to pick this offer. I'm the one to go ahead and follow through with this transaction. Now, to start out, building a relationship with a listing agent can be very tough, right? You're at a barrier to where they're representing a seller and you're on the side of the buyer, right? The way we want to do this is bridge the gap. Let them know you're an extended leg in making sure that this transaction goes through seamless and goes through an efficient process. As we know, being here at UMortgage, we're the best of the best, right? Other listing agents, they're used to dealing with banks, they're used to dealing with other companies that simply just don't get the job done. So make sure that from that initial start to where we're putting in an offer, that we're reaching out to these listing agents, we're letting them know, hey, we're the one to get the job done. We already vetted our client as far as income documentation, assets, credit. We have everything we need to get the job done. I know in many other markets, you may, fall through with other lenders that say, hey, we offer a TBD, whatever it may be. I like to say, hey, I'm the one to get it done. Look up my reviews, look up how my team gets things done, and I'm going to follow through and make this a great process for you and your seller. Now, building that relationship all goes to the touch points throughout the process, right? I make it a very diligent effort every Tuesday to make sure that I'm calling out to these listing agents, let them know, hey, this is where we're at in the process, whether that be, hey, the appraisal was just ordered, it was just submitted to underwriting. If it's a condo, hey, the condo review is in process. Just to clear mind, like, hey, we're keeping ahead of our deadlines. We're making sure we're doing everything in our power on our end to get things done. Now, as you go through the process, make sure you are hitting all these touch points. Whether that be, like I said, the appraisal, whether that be, like I said, a condo questionnaire was just done, or even just, hey, pick up the phone and say, hey, we got to clear to close 2 weeks before the actual contract date. Now, the reason why I say we want to touch base with these listing agents is, yeah, you can just do it the first time when you go under contract, but if you're touching them 3 to 4 times, possibly even more, that's going to be able to build that relationship. Now, not only on Tuesdays, but also Friday, I like to go ahead and reach out by text and shoot over an email, right? Let them know, hey, this is where we're at in the process. If anything changed from Tuesday, let them know, right? A listing agent likes to be ahead of the ball game. They like to know that the other lender is actually doing everything in their power to make the process, attainable and also make the experience very great. So my call to action to you guys is pick up the phone, go ahead and reach out to your listing agent. Let them know, hey, I'm the one to get the job done, get your client's offer accepted, and as well as make sure that you're touching base with them on Tuesdays, Fridays, and possibly even more. Another thing I want to leave you guys off with, I like to go ahead and reach out via Facebook, Instagram, follow them, and after the closing, make sure you tag them or have them on your actual platforms. So not only you reaching them by there, but also they can now get, attained with how you carry about things and how you are as a person. So that's my call to action. Like always, let's go.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Tyler Carlston from San Antonio, Texas. I'm actually over in the Utah branch today, hence the background. Anyway, what I'm going to jump on and talk about is something that I'm so passionate about, and that's serving the military community. So the military community is one that I feel is very highly underserved. And also, there is a ton of predatory lenders out there that are just taking advantage of veterans. So that's one of the big things that I really jumped into. And that's why I'm so passionate about fighting for our veterans and making sure that they are very well informed and they have full transparency going through the loan process, because there's so many people out there claiming to help veterans, but that's not what they're doing. They're just trying to make a paycheck, and a lot of the times they're giving them bad information, right? There's so much information online where they read one thing there, hear one thing here, and it's completely false. So for example, I had one client call me last weekend and they're like, Tyler, 2 other lenders told me 2 different numbers I needed for a down payment because I didn't have enough VA entitlements. Well, I go in and actually do the correct calculation. Turns out for the price range he's looking for, he did not need any sort of down payment. So again, that's why it's so important to get multiple opinions, but more importantly, to go to someone who is actually a VA loan expert that actually closes a good amount of VA loans and knows the guidelines, sees scenarios, because look, everything's going to be different. Somebody that's good in conventional loans may not be the best at VA loans because there's so many intricate parts to it and parts to the guidelines that are so much different. So finding and working with a true expert is super, super important. And the biggest thing that I see is just so many lenders are not transparent enough, right? So for me, it's all about transparency and honesty, because eventually the truth is going to come out. Eventually numbers are going to come out. And so one of the things I see most is buyers will go around and compare different lenders, and lender A will say, oh, my rate's this, but guess what? They don't tell them that costs $10,000 in discount points. And so at that point, that's where I take the opportunity to educate them. Hey, it might not be the best idea to buy points in a high rated market because there's a break-even point before you start seeing any true benefit of buying the points. And again, so many people are out here just to try to make a paycheck. They don't really care about educating and building that long-term relationship with that client. Because when I work with the buyer, I tell them, like, look, we're not only going to get this deal done and make this the smoothest transaction of your life, but you're also going to be gaining a lender for life. So that's one of my value adds too, is I'm going to be here for you no matter what process or what stage in your life you're in. I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. Even if I help you buy right now and in 5 years you want to move to Alaska, guess what? I'm going to do what I can to make your process as easy as possible and maybe even do the loan for you there. So again, it's just about bringing transparency to the military community, because I feel that's where a lot of things lack. And so one of the things too that I'm doing to stay top of mind in the military community is just becoming an authority in my space, in my local market. So again, I go around and brand myself as the best VA loan officer in San Antonio, because I am. And that's what I've built my brand around. And that's what people are recognizing me as, is a go-to VA loan officer in San Antonio area. So for me, it's just about continually posting, continually bringing value to the community. And so, for example, I had an agent call me today. I've never worked with her before. Had no idea. I guess we were friends on Facebook, and she gave me a call, and she had a VA buyer that she wanted to work with. And before we jumped off the phone, I'm like, hey, if there's anything I can ever do for you, my job is to make your life as easy as possible, bring you as much value as possible, and help educate you. So that way, by the time you're talking to these clients, you're better off than you were before, because I want you to sound just like me, essentially, when you're talking to clients. So again, it's just about staying top of mind and becoming an authority in your space. And that's what I'm trying to do here in San Antonio. And so one of the things that I see veterans dealing with the most is just the dishonesty between lenders. And so again, my biggest piece of advice I can give a veteran is to just compare many different lenders, but trust but verify, right? So you don't want to go in and just assume everyone is lying to you, but go and verify the information. Find out what, like the lender you're working with, how much of VA do they actually do? How many VA loans have they closed already? Because again, in this business, the more loans you see, the better you're going to be. So again, just there's so much there's so much misinformation, and there's a lack of transparency in this business. That's what I'm trying to come here to fight to do, is just to bring more of that to this business. So again, just make sure that every time you're working with a veteran, to just try to serve them the best you can, because they serve for us. It's our opportunity to serve for them.
Good morning, UMortgage. It's Adam West coming to you from Utah. Thanks for having me on today. I wanted to chat about turning a problem into something special. Mostly talking about inside of a transaction when something goes wrong, and it always does. There's always something that happens in a transaction that goes wrong. What are you going to do to shine? How are you going to look? How are you going to show people that you are the guy or the gal that people need to use for mortgages? The number one way to get this going is to set expectations. Set your proper expectations up front. If you think something tricky is going to happen to the appraisal, let people know up front what might go wrong in the appraisal. If you think there's a weird underwriting guideline that we might run into with like a bankruptcy, or if we're at a 49.99 DTI, let everyone know that. Tell them, hey, we are in the red zone here. Like this, we need everything to go perfectly. If not, we have plan B, plan C, but here's where we are. When a problem arises, tackle it head on as soon as possible and keep all parties in the loop. I'm talking like get an email thread and throw everybody in there, listing agent, buyer's agent. If escrow needs to know, let the title company know. Get everyone in the loop on what's going on and how to potentially fix it. And that's the next thing that I want to talk about is don't just say, oh, we have this huge issue. Say, hey, look, this issue came up on this day. We've spent some time looking at possible solutions, and here are 2 or 3 things that we think might get us there. If you bring up a problem with no solution, that's panic mode. People are going to be scared. People are going to not work. They're going to think that the transaction's not going to close. It's terrifying. If you come in and say, hey, here's the problem. Here's some solutions. I need your help doing this, your help doing this, and your help doing this. Usually, everyone gets going. Again, it's all about setting the proper expectations. So another thing on this, turning a problem into something special via guidelines. If it's just like a weird overlay or a weird guideline, I'm running into one right now. I don't think we know the solution. This one's freaking weird, but we're running into some HOA issue with shared amenities. Never have seen it before. Never have heard of this before, but we have the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the HOA company. We have everyone in a group message. We're trying to figure out a way to fix this. Become the best LO you've ever heard of with this specific guideline. Guidelines can be so weird. Overlays can be weirder. really dive in and find out solutions to these guidelines and like learn the guideline back and forth. If it's on us, it's on us. If it's on the property, it's on the property. Like find, get into the verbiage of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines. Take snippets of these guidelines, share it with the people, show them that like, you know what you're talking about. This problem came up because of this. Here are the solutions. Can we figure out how to get past this? Another thing, teach your processors about it. Teach people on our ops team about this. If you are truly going to save this deal and shine, let the team know what you did. Share your understanding of the guidelines with ops and the team and the processors. Make a workplace chat about it or a workplace post about it. And then lastly, when problems arise, please, I beg you, please don't rely on operations to fix your problem. This is very likely on the LO. And even if it's something to do like with mine, I'm a perfect, of course I never mess up, but no, with mine, it came straight from the property. It's HOA. It's a weird condo, shared amenity issue. I've never heard of it. My processor hasn't heard of it. Listing a buying agent haven't ever heard of this before. This is weird, right? So am I going to rely on Christy to look up the guidelines and find a way to make this work? Freaking hope not. Like, I'm taking this on. I'm trying to find this answer to this solution myself. As you do this, as you try to shine in these problem situations, it is amazing how many referral partners you can pick up in this process. Like, a problematic loan can actually be, assuming it closes, can actually be a phenomenal way to meet new realtors and show them that you are an amazing loan officer and they need to use you ASAP. That's what I got for you guys today. Let me know if I can ever be of help. I'm going to send this one back to the man, Anthony Casa.
Thank you very much, Batman. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you leading in every way possible. So thank you. I got two more things, but I got one call to action before we get to those two things. So this is an important one. I'm in a workplace chat with our setup team on files that are coming through that are, loan originators are submitting files. And there's one of two steps that are consistent. I would say one of three steps that are consistently not being taken and result in the loan submission being delayed or us being able to advance that loan being delayed. Super, super easy. So I just want a really quick call to action. And hopefully you've heard this before, but these are three steps that are consistently, one of them is missing. Is one, make sure your pricing is updated on the day, okay? Very, very important. Price the loan, apply the pricing to the loan. If you priced the loan yesterday and you're submitting it today, you got to reprice it based on today's pricing. It could be a BIP, it could be nothing, it could be inconsequential, but we still got to reprice it and have live pricing. Otherwise, they're going to ask for you to update the pricing. So again, just that simple thing could cause an hour delay on the file. Like, you submit it, they review it, they ask for that, they stop working on it. We're losing a half hour, we're losing 45 minutes if you're doing something else and not paying attention. So that's one. Two, move the loan to loan setup status. This is a common one. People will, tag loan submissions, but not move the loan to loan setup status. Like we gotta, follow these steps. Move it to setup status. That's what puts it in their queue. Number three, make sure you tag loan submissions on every single new loan submission. So those two, tagging loan submissions in the notes and making sure that you're moving to loan setup. These are easy things, but these are costing us valuable times. I just saw yesterday there was like 6 or 7 of these that happened. 6 or 7 loans being held up over something minor tactical. We can't be too fast to get it done right. Again, we got to make sure that we're doing it the right way every single time. And when we do it the right way every single time, the right results are going to follow. So that's my call to action. I got 2 things here before we wrap up. So number one, really, really want to focus on understanding, Weekend Warrior is the game. I shared the story about Nicole earlier, but this is where we win business. This is where we win relationships, and this is where buyers are. Okay, at the end of the day, buyers are looking at homes on the weekends. The America's Day to Shop is Saturday, so it's great that And again, I share this message with everybody, and I just share this message with our recruiting team about some call to actions I have for them with what we're doing on LO recruiting. It's like, this is a lifestyle. The mortgage industry is a lifestyle, guys. Like, we can't conform to a 9-to-5 schedule. We can't conform to what the rest of the world's doing, because we're not the rest of the world. Just like doctors and nurses got to go to the hospital, they don't get to, work from home. That's the game. That's their lifestyle. This is our lifestyle. The weekends are when homes are bought and sold. The weekends are when real estate agents work. We can be efficient. We don't have to lose our whole weekend, okay? We can be efficient and effective. So plan, prepare, execute. So what do I mean by that? You can go on Zillow. You can look up, the open houses. Map it out. Don't just be like, hey, I got 15 open houses. I'm just going to go in any random order. No. Map it out, okay? Go efficiently. Hey, look at the timing of them. Look at where they're at. Make sure, hey, listen, I can hit this one, then this one's a block away. I can hit that one right after. You plan it accordingly. You can efficiently hit each house in a sequence and get them all done in an hour, 2 hours. Number two is be efficient and effective. Like, have a plan when you go into these things. Nicole and I were just talking about this morning, and we think exactly the same way. Like, you got to go in. You might not know the realtor. It might be an entry-level realtor. Doesn't matter. You're going to go in. You're going to make an introduction. Right off the bat, they're going to think you're a buyer. Make sure you say, hey, I'm a lender. I'm a mortgage broker. Do the introduction. Identify who you are. Identify, hey, I'm a weekend worker. I'm out here working this weekend. Build that, rapport. Right off the bat, hey, would you mind if we connected on social media? Easy opportunity. Now you're in each other's CRMs, okay? The minute you connect on social, they're in your CRM and you're in their CRM, okay? The connection's been made. If that's all you accomplish, and you don't get, their number or anything like that, if that's all you accomplish, now you're going to see you're going to be top of mind. But you get their card. You leave and say, hey, good luck today. I'll follow up later, move on to the next one. And at the end of the day, after, you've hit, 10 or 12 open houses, you message them and say, hey, listen, I had a great day today. It was great meeting you. I met these contacts. I met these buyers. I got this referral. How was your day? What were your wins for the day? You're not talking about referrals. You're not talking about transactions. You're building rapport. Anybody that works on a Saturday wants to share their wins with somebody that can relate to this lifestyle. So understand, weekends are the game. You can be efficient and effective, so you're only doing it 90 minutes or 2 hours, making the most of it. But those 2 hours spent on, going to open houses is going to be better than you take the 2 hours off on Monday or take the 2 hours off on Tuesday when nobody's doing open houses and buyers aren't out looking because they're working. So lifestyle choice. This is about winning. This is about effectiveness. I want to win. I want you guys to win. So we got to spend our time efficiently and effectively, and then we get back to our families. So that's one call to action here. Next thing. Report up. So, over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about a new weekly updates report that we're going to be distributing starting Monday. We've been distributing internally with leaders over the last month because we've been iterating, making it better every single week, making sure that it's ready for prime time when we release it to the whole company. But essentially, every week, we're going to release this report. It's going to show our company metrics, year to date, month to date, cycle times, volume fundings, all the NPS, all the things we're looking at week over week. So that'll be a live snapshot of where we stand year to date, month to date, where we're trending. It'll also show, a breakdown of like any projects that we have going on. What's the status? Any important updates? Anything that's a call to action related to them? Any KPIs that relate to it? It's also going to share announcements and new policies. And every single team in the organization is going to be filling out a one-pager talking about, within their division, within their department, what are the opportunities to get better that they have identified? What were the highlights for that week? What are the things that they accomplished for the week? What are their priorities for the following week? Who was a superstar team member for that past week? So we're going to have visibility. Everybody can see, operations, recruiting. They can see what's going on across the organization. Gil just shared, this week how enlightening it is to get this type of visibility across the organization. Now, you don't have to watch. You don't have to read this. This isn't a requirement, but it's about visibility. If you just want to check on it once a month, it'll give you an update. It'll give you a sense of all the things going on behind the scenes, bring visibility to, what, I did have a little frustration with that process. It's great to see they're working on and they're building, they're revamping it. So, with Report Up, where this plays into it is, we submit Report Up. Everybody knows Report Up's an opportunity for us to identify a pain point or something that negatively impacted either our team member experience or our customer experience, provide, visibility and granularity. What was the pain point? Why is it impactful? We don't want to just complain. This isn't a place to complain. This is about understanding that this is about getting better. So we want a constructive feedback on something that's impacted our customer experience, our team member experience, provide a suggested solution, and then we're going to take that Report Up feedback and assign it to one of the teams that is related to, whatever process they're overseeing, whatever part of our business that needs to be assigned to, and you'll be able to see that Report Up feedback, get tasked by that team, They'll identify how they're solutioning it. Do they coach their team members up? Do they improve a process? Do they overhaul, a process, enhance an experience? Did we make it a project to fix that issue? Like, you'll be able to see your feedback come to life through this process. So look out for the weekly updates report. That's going to kick off on Monday. You can make your contributions to report up every Thursday. Everybody can contribute to that through Workplace or through SharePoint when we post it. And again, this is all about getting better every day. This is not about, anybody being attacked. I don't like any of this, like, scared to, step on toes, or, I don't want to throw anybody on the bus. Throw them under the bus. I get thrown under the bus every single day. Like, I gotta fix things. We have to fix things. The only way for us to get better is for us to look at our issues and identify solutions. So great weekly sales meeting. Let's keep that energy going. Let's focus on winning, and let's go into the rest of the day, focus on dominating, bringing more loans in, building better relationships, and do what we need to do to get better as a team. Have a great rest of the day, and talk to you soon.